Oh, you're not going to believe this mess. Meghan Markle really thought her Bloomberg sit-down with Emily Chang was going to be the ultimate glow-up moment. You know, the kind of glossy, soft-focused chat that would remind the world that she's the relatable duchess she's been desperately selling. But what actually happened? Total disaster. I mean, not just a little awkward. It blew up so badly that Megyn Kelly basically turned it into a masterclass in humiliation. From the second the clip started rolling, Kelly wasn't analyzing and she was demolishing. What was meant to look like a cozy, casual burger joint chat turned into one of the most tone-deaf appearances Megyn has ever pulled off. And that's saying something. The whole thing became a meme factory, and let me tell you, Kelly had a field day picking apart every word. Let's start with the infamous pantyhose rant. Oh yes, that single throwaway line that somehow managed to become shorthand for everything that went wrong. Emily Chang, trying her absolute best to give Megyn softballs, asked her something sweet about balancing being relatable while still holding a royal title. Honestly, it was the perfect chance to come across as grounded, maybe even witty. She could have said something about tradition and modern life, and everyone would have nodded along. But Megyn? Oh no. She went straight into a weird complaint about stockings. She told the world she hadn't worn pantyhose since the 80s and acted like this was some grand act of rebellion. Megyn Kelly's jaw practically hit the studio desk. Millions of women were shaking their heads too. Like, seriously? Most people throw on uncomfortable clothes for work every single day without crying oppression, and here was Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, acting like tights were a human rights violation. The pettiness was staggering. And you know what? It wasn't just silly. It exposed something deeper. Kelly zeroed in. Megyn never wanted the service, the duty, the tradition. To her, these weren't privileges. They were shackles. That whiny pantyhose comment said more about her mindset than hours of interviews ever could. It made her look spoiled, small, and completely disconnected from reality. Even her most loyal stans were struggling to defend it online. The optics were that bad. But as embarrassing as the pantyhose line was, the smashburger moment took things into straight-up insulting territory. Picture this. Emily Chang bends over backward to make Megyn look approachable, casual, even fun. She takes her to a burger spot, asks this softball, "When do you feel the least Duchess of Sussex?" Now, this is where a little charm would have gone a long way. She could have said school drop-offs, grocery runs, even joked about messy mom life. That's what audiences love. But Megyn? She looks right at Emily Chang and says, "Sitting here with you, eating burgers." Can you believe that? The interviewer comes all the way to Montecito, prepped with glowing questions, and Megyn basically tells her, "Being around you makes me feel ordinary." Ouch. Kelly jumped on it instantly. This wasn't just arrogance. This was Megyn accidentally revealing how she really sees people, as beneath her. And the cameras caught it all. See, this is Kelly's bigger point. These weren't slips of the tongue. They were windows into Megyn's worldview. She doesn't see media as equals or partners. She sees them as tools. And even when someone is treating her gently, she can't hide the contempt. That's why Kelly's takedown landed so hard. It wasn't nitpicking. It was a blow-by-blow of how every frame reinforced Megyn's worst traits: entitlement, contradiction, and obsession with image over substance. And just when you thought Megyn might have a chance to redeem herself, nope. Kelly reminded everyone of that viral Megyn with a Y parody. It was brutal, sure, but Megyn had the golden chance to laugh it off, maybe even join in on the joke. Hollywood has a rule. If you can laugh at yourself, audiences forgive almost anything. But Megyn, she couldn't. Kelly called it career suicide. And she's right, because if there's one thing Meghan Markle has never shown, it's self-awareness. By the end of that Bloomberg sit-down, Megyn had managed to whine about hosiery, insult her interviewer, and miss every single opportunity to connect with actual people. Kelly didn't just roast her. She wrote her public image's obituary. And if insiders are right, that was only the beginning of Megyn's humiliations. Now, if you thought the pantyhose whining and the burger joint shade were the worst of it, buckle up, because Megyn didn't stop there. Oh no, she went for what has now become infamous: the spaghetti insult. And let me tell you, Megyn Kelly did not let this one slide. So Emily Chang, trying once again to hand Megyn an easy moment, asked her about criticism of her Netflix series. Now here's the thing. A gracious shrug, maybe some light acknowledgement, even a playful "haters gonna hate" would have worked wonders. But Megyn, she lashed out. She claimed that people who mocked her show were secretly at home cooking her recipes, suggesting that her critics were broke, struggling, and still using her content on the down low. Can you believe the nerve? Megyn essentially implied, "If you criticize me, it's because you're jealous and poor." It was a slap in the face, not just to journalists like Kelly, but to everyday viewers who just didn't connect with the show. And Kelly pounced like a hawk. First, she ripped into the arrogance of assuming all all criticism equals envy. People can dislike something without being bitter or broke, and Megyn acting like everyone is secretly obsessed with her? That just screamed self-importance. And then Kelly twisted the knife. The spaghetti recipe Megyn bragged about? Not even hers. It was Martha Stewart's. So not only did Megyn mock critics for using her recipes, but she was claiming credit for something she didn't even create. The irony was jaw-dropping. Kelly laughed right on air, calling it peak Megyn, shallow branding at its finest. And social media? Oh, it exploded. Memes everywhere. Single skill impasta. People calling her out for being out of touch, mocking the idea that critics were at home secretly worshipping her cooking. Most people pointed out, we criticize for free because we're sick of being lectured by someone in a $16 million Montecito mansion. That spaghetti line just confirmed it. Megyn doesn't understand her audience. Worse, she doesn't respect them. And if that wasn't enough, the contradictions kept piling up. Emily Chang asked her about criticisms that she was glorifying homemaking. This was Megyn's golden opportunity. She could have leaned in, praised the value of home and family, and framed herself as a relatable champion for everyday parents. But no, she dismissed it with a shrug, said she hadn't even heard that critique, and then threw in a bizarre line about not having time to churn her own butter. Kelly's reaction? Savage. Megyn had literally built an entire Netflix series around her curated lifestyle. Chickens, gardens, beehives, elaborate home decor. She made a brand out of homemaking aesthetics. But when pressed, she acted like homemaking was foreign to her, even beneath her. And that, Kelly pointed out, was the hypocrisy that burned through the screen. Because here's the truth. Megyn's domestic empire isn't really hers. It's maintained by staff, chefs, gardeners, nannies, housekeepers. So when she brushed off homemaking, mothers around the world rolled their eyes. These are women juggling jobs, kids, laundry, cooking, everything with no help. And here was Megyn, Duchess of Montecito, acting like butter churning was the only domestic work worth mentioning. The insult was obvious. The fallout was immediate. Clips of Megyn dismissing homemaking while showing off her luxury chicken coop went viral. And Kelly didn't just highlight the contradiction. She showed why it mattered. Megyn's whole brand was authenticity, but her answers revealed the opposite. She was selling a lifestyle she didn't even live. And behind the scenes, insiders whispered that Megyn's team was in full-blown panic. They saw the same clips we all did. The pantyhose rant, spoiled. The smash burger line, arrogant. The spaghetti insult, delusional. The homemaking fumble, hypocritical. Piece by piece, Megyn was exposing herself, and Kelly's commentary was pulling back the curtain for the world to see. Now let's get into the part that Megyn Kelly said cut the deepest. Megyn's absolute refusal to take a joke. And trust me, this one revealed more about her than any pantyhose rant or burger slip ever could. Kelly reminded viewers of that parody sketch. You know, the one that skewered Megyn and Harry so mercilessly it went viral overnight. It was everywhere. People laughing, memes flying, late-night shows eating it up. It could have been a gift, honestly. If Megyn had just laughed along, maybe cracked a self-deprecating joke, she could have turned it all around. That's the Hollywood redemption formula. Take the joke, own it, and the public forgives almost anything. But Megyn? Nope, she did the opposite. According to Kelly, Megyn fumed behind the scenes. She didn't want to acknowledge it, didn't want to play along, and shut down any idea of embracing the humor. Kelly called it out plainly. This wasn't just thin skin. This was proof that Megyn takes herself so seriously, she can't even imagine poking fun at herself. And here's the killer point Kelly made. In Hollywood, that attitude is poison. Late-night couches, sketch shows, roasts, they're all part of the survival kit. Celebrities from actors to politicians have saved their reputations by leaning into the joke. But Megyn, she had the chance and flat out refused. Kelly spelled it out. If Megyn can't laugh at herself, no one else is going to laugh with her. And when the public stops laughing, they stop caring. No laughter, no warmth, no comeback story. But that wasn't all. Kelly went even further, hinting at Megyn's obsession with her critics. In one of her most biting quips, Kelly joked that Megyn probably keeps voodoo dolls of every journalist who crosses her. At first it sounded like a gag, but whispers from ex-staffers made it sound eerily true in spirit. They claimed Megyn cataloged every negative headline, every unflattering post, carrying grudges like trophies. Instead of focusing on building new projects or fixing her image, she was consumed with tracking who was against her. Kelly nailed it. You can't move forward if you're obsessed with silencing the past. And that's why Megyn's media strategy keeps crumbling. But the Bloomberg fiasco didn't just expose Megyn's media missteps. Oh no, it reopened wounds from the royal family saga. Kelly hammered down on the hypocrisy. Megyn often accuses others of harming her at their detriment. But what about the monarchy? What about the Queen and Prince Philip, who spent their final years weighed down by Meghan and Harry's global feud? Kelly didn't claim literal causation, but she made the devastating point that family scandals and public attacks take a toll, especially on the elderly who spent decades in service. For audiences already uneasy with Meghan's approach, this was a brutal reminder. Her narrative of victimhood wasn't lining up with reality. And then came one of Kelly's sharpest comparisons. She brought up Norway's Princess Märtha Louise, who is in a relationship with an American shaman. Their story is messy, unconventional, even eccentric. But here's the kicker. It radiates authenticity. They aren't pretending. They're not crafting staged relatability. They live their truth, and people sense it. Juxtapose that with Meghan, who talks about authenticity nonstop, but whose every move feels scripted. The contrast was brutal. Kelly's thesis was clear. Meghan's problem isn't bad luck. It's that she's performing a role nobody buys anymore. And Hollywood? Oh, they've noticed. Insiders whispered that streaming executives are quietly shelving Meghan-related pitches. Brand partners? Losing interest. Investors who once saw Meghan as commercial gold, now backing away. The Bloomberg interview was supposed to be her reset, her glossy relaunch. Instead, it convinced decision-makers that she can't even manage a softball interview without alienating people. Kelly's conclusion hit like a hammer. Meghan Markle is no longer bankable. Her projects don't make money. Her image doesn't inspire. And her interviews? They create backlash instead of goodwill. But here's the real gut punch. Kelly said Meghan's biggest flaw isn't the whining, the arrogance, or even the hypocrisy. It's that she doesn't know who she is without the performance. And until she figures that out, no Netflix deal, no interview, and no lifestyle brand will save her. The Bloomberg sit-down showed the mask slipping, and what was underneath wasn't a relatable duchess. It was a woman so obsessed with controlling her image that she couldn't see it collapsing in real time. And that, Kelly declared, was Meghan's ultimate humiliation.